In the early 1970s, American television was cautious by design, favoring familiar faces and predictable formats that felt safe for advertisers and audiences alike. New voices, especially ones that challenged tone or convention, were rarely embraced without hesitation. That's why the idea of building a primetime sitcom around Red Fox seemed risky to network executives. Fox was widely known for his bold nightclub comedy, not traditional television storytelling. Yet that gamble led to Sanford and Son, a show that quietly reshaped sitcom expectations. Premiering on NBC in 1972, it introduced viewers to Fred Sanford, a stubborn junk dealer, and his patient son Lamont. Their world felt lived in rather than polished, filled with sharp humor and emotional honesty. The show didn't soften its characters to make them easier to digest. Instead, it trusted authenticity, allowing audiences to connect through truth rather than perfection. And that trust changed television forever. A father and son. Audiences believed from its earliest episodes the chemistry between Red Fox and Demond Wilson felt genuine, almost effortless. Fox brought decades of stage experience and commanding comedic instincts, while Wilson grounded the scenes with restraint, warmth, and emotional balance. Their contrasting energies created a believable father-son dynamic that audiences quickly embraced. Fred Sanford's exaggerated complaints and schemes were perfectly offset by Lamont's steady patience and quiet wisdom. What made the relationship work wasn't just humor, but listening. Their characters reacted to one another in ways that felt real, even during arguments. Behind the scenes, that dynamic initially carried over. Fox often offered guidance as Wilson navigated sudden fame, while Wilson respected Fox's confidence and craft. In those early years, the partnership felt collaborative and supportive. The show wasn't simply successful, it felt alive, driven by two performers fully invested in making something meaningful together. Fame and the weight of expectations. As Sanford and Son grew into one of NBC's biggest hits, success brought pressures neither man had fully anticipated. Ratings soared, cultural influence expanded, and expectations intensified. With that attention came difficult conversations about compensation, recognition, and creative influence. Red Fox, whose presence defined much of the show's identity, began expressing concerns about how he was valued compared to other major television stars of the time. For him, it was about fairness and acknowledgement, not just financial reward. Demond Wilson, still early in his career, viewed the situation differently. He was grateful for the opportunity, but increasingly aware of his responsibility to the show's success. Both perspectives were valid, yet they came from the different life stages and experiences. These unspoken differences quietly reshaped the working relationship. While the performances remained strong, the balance that once felt natural began to strain under the weight of expectations neither man could fully control. The walkout that redefined the set tensions reached a turning point in 1974 when Red Fox temporarily stepped away from the show during contract negotiations with NBC. The decision shocked the production and the audience, forcing the network to adjust storylines and continue filming without its central figure. For Demond Wilson, this period was especially challenging, where suddenly he carried the emotional core of the series while navigating uncertainty behind the scenes. He remained publicly professional, focused on honoring commitments to the cast and crew. Privately, the situation placed him in an impossible position. Supporting the show meant stability for everyone involved, but it also created emotional distance between him and Fox. When Fox eventually returned under a revised agreement, the show regained its familiar structure. However, the experience left a lasting mark. What once felt collaborative now carried caution, and the ease that defined their early partnership never fully returned. Professionalism without closeness. Following Fox's return, Sanford and Son continued to succeed, but the relationship between its two leads had subtly changed. On screen, the performances remained sharp and engaging, preserving the illusion of harmony audiences loved. Off-screen, the connection had narrowed to professionalism. Creative authority shifted, and while Fox gained greater influence, Wilson felt increasingly distant from decisions affecting the show's direction. Neither man openly aired grievances, choosing restraint over confrontation. The set remained functional, but the warmth that once defined it faded. Cast and crew later described an environment that worked efficiently but lacked its former camaraderie. Both actors took pride in their craft and delivered consistently, yet the partnership no longer felt personal. It became transactional, guided by obligation rather than shared enthusiasm. Audiences continued to laugh each week, unaware that behind the scenes, the bond that once fueled the show had quietly fractured, two lives moving in different directions. When Sanford and Son ended in 1977, it marked the close of a defining chapter for both actors. For viewers, it was the end of a beloved series. For Red Fox and Demon Wilson, it signaled a permanent separation. Foxx returned to stand-up comedy and later television projects, maintaining his bold public presence. Wilson, however, chose a dramatically different path. Disillusioned with the entertainment industry and seeking deeper meaning, he stepped away from acting altogether. He turned toward faith and ministry, finding fulfillment outside the spotlight. Their lives moved in opposite directions, shaped by personal values rather than shared history. There were no public reconciliations or dramatic statements, only distance and time. What once appeared to be an inseparable partnership quietly dissolved. The absence of closure wasn't the result of bitterness alone, but of two men choosing paths that no longer intersected. The absence that sparked public curiosity. When Red Fox passed away in 1991, fans mourned deeply, celebrating his lasting contribution to comedy. Yet many noticed a quiet absence that sparked lasting questions. Demon Wilson did not attend the funeral. For audiences who had grown up watching Fred and Lamont Sanford, the contrast between the on-screen bond and real-life distance was difficult to reconcile. Over time, Wilson addressed the matter briefly, explaining that they were no longer in contact by that point. There were no accusations, no dramatic revelations, only a calm acknowledgement of reality. For some fans, the explanation felt incomplete. For others, it reflected the truth that not all relationships find closure. Life doesn't always provide reconciliations that mirror our hopes. Their silence became its own answer, reminding audiences that television relationships, no matter how convincing, do not always translate into lasting personal bonds. The show's enduring cultural impact. Despite the personal distance between its stars, Sanford and Son remains a cornerstone of television history. The show broke barriers by centering Black characters without compromise, blending sharp humor with emotional authenticity. Red Fox's fearless performance and Demon Wilson's grounded presence created a balance that resonated across generations. Together, they proved that comedy rooted in truth could be both entertaining and meaningful. Their differences do not diminish what they achieved collectively. Today, the series is remembered not for behind-the-scenes tension, but for its influence and longevity. Reruns continue to introduce new audiences to Fred's dramatic flair and Lamont's steady wisdom. The show's success reminds us that great art can emerge even from imperfect circumstances. Creative brilliance does not require flawless harmony, only commitment to the work. What they built together endures long after personal differences faded into silence, a story that reflects real life. The story of Red Fox and Demon Wilson continues to resonate because it reflects something deeply human. Success can magnify differences, expectations can shift, and silence can replace once close connections. Their journey wasn't shaped by a single argument, but by years of evolving pressures and unspoken emotions. There are no clear villains or heroes, only two individuals navigating fame, pride, faith, and identity in a demanding industry. Fans may never know every detail, and perhaps that's appropriate. What remains undeniable is the impact of their shared work. Sanford and Son still speaks loudly, even decades later. It reminds us that behind every iconic duo are real people carrying complex histories. The laughter they created together continues to live on, proving that even when personal bonds fade, the art itself can remain timeless.